Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Police issue warning to vloggers about sharing false information. Education Ministry's transformation plan kicks into full gear. And later in sports, semi-final pairings decided at Netball World Cup. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. We begin with news that a purported abduction in Portmore yesterday, video of which has gone viral, is false. This has prompted a warning from the police, who are urging vloggers to desist from sharing false information. In a statement, the JCF explained that a bailiff, who is a district constable along with other police in plain clothing, went to the woman's house to execute a warrant of commitment. The woman was unable to fulfill the court order and was arrested. The police insist the woman was not abused. The statement also notes that sharing misinformation comprises the safety and security of people involved. As part of the Ministry of Education's transformation plan for public schools, ground was broken for a multi-million-dollar block at Homewood Technical High School in Manchester. Education Minister Favour Williams says the project will also include the installation of ramps and lifts to facilitate special needs children. More in this report. In recent times, the Education Ministry has come under fire for seemingly disregarding students with special needs. But with the groundbreaking of a $185 million classroom block at Homewood Technical High School in Christiana, Manchester recently, this has given hope to some parents and students.
We saw that today in terms of breaking of ground for a block of classrooms, a teacher staff room, and the amenities that go with that. Importantly as well, given that it's a four-story building, of course we will have lifts and ramps to ensure that children with disability will have access to that building as well. Electrical systems will be redone.
The new block is expected to be completed within 10 months, and while news of the project surfaced, concerns were expressed by a principal of neighboring Christiana High School. Mr. Lee St. Wallace thinks his school should have given the priority with a number of constraints. Mrs. Williams responded.
My understanding from the planners of schools, when they do their surveys and they look at needs across the system, they look at communities, they look at where children come from, they look at the space, the physical space, the land space that the school has to expand. They take all of that into consideration. And yes, while Christiana High School is constrained, what my understanding is the land space is constrained as well.
But while welcoming the initiative, the school says the project has been in the pipeline for the last 7 years and has not undergone any major infrastructural improvements over the last 50 years.
11 classrooms, a staff room. Much of the classrooms that we currently have, have students occupy, they are not in the best of state. And so this will certainly enhance their learning. It will certainly allow their morale to be lifted. And overall, this will serve not just Homewood Technical High School, but Christiana, Manchester at large.
Currently, some 1,542 students are enrolled in this school. Meanwhile, the National Education Trust says other rural schools will benefit from similar projects. NET says the plan is also to eliminate the shift system in schools, starting with Manchester.
We're in procurement now for that, actually. We are also doing work. We're going to be doing some work at Christiana, Belfield, Mile Gully. That's a replacement plant for the high school, a brand new plant. Bel Air, that one is and New Forest High. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head right now, but those are the secondary schools in the area that we have plans for.
Culture Minister Olivia Babs-Grange says as Jamaica celebrates 61 years of independence, the country has made a huge impact on the globe. Speaking on TVJ Smile Jamaica today, she says despite the challenges, one of the greatest accomplishments is the role women have taken on in politics. She says at present there are 18 women now in Parliament.
No, it's not huge enough, but we're getting there. We have made strides. And just recently, we also established a women's bicameral caucus in Parliament, which means that both sides of the divide have come together, both chambers have come together, and we have, in fact, made history by having this bicameral caucus established and having it a sessional committee.
Ms. Grange also says more needs to be done to protect brand Jamaica.
I think I've done that now more so than we have ever done. But there is that much more we could do to leverage opportunities. And sometimes because of limited resources, we're not able to take the advantages that present themselves overseas, even in relation to branding and exploiting opportunities.
Executive Director of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Audley Gordon, is reporting improvements in the way Jamaicans dispose of their waste. Mr. Gordon was speaking in Portmore, St. Catherine recently. O'Shane Masters reports.
For years, the government has been on a drive to have Jamaicans properly dispose of their waste, especially plastics. They end up in gullies and drains and end up in the sea. But more and more people are disposing of their waste responsibly. Executive Director of the NSWMA, Audley Gordon, has taken note.
The country is asking for plastic separation. The country is there. We are there now as a people. Maybe it's because of the newscast that we have seen with the floodings and the amount of plastic that is emerging as a part of the contribution to the flooding. So people are sensitized to it. As a matter of fact, I think the resources available for recycling is being overwhelmed. We don't have the amount of trucks to go for the plastic as we would love to.
He's expecting pollution of the country's waterways to be significantly reduced. For the recycling partners of Jamaica, the relationship with the NSWMA will continue.
It's a collaboration. It's going to take all hands. So yes, we love this partnership, which is going to continue for quite a long time. The people in Jamaica, as he said before, we are ready. They're actually very receptive, right? So we're in the early stages, so of course, it's going to take some time, but they are receptive. They're willing to listen to what it is that they're saying. People are registering. We have programs with the schools. They're ready and they're willing, and we're going to get there one day, I promise you.
They were speaking at the launch of yet another partnership with a community for the recycling of plastics. That community is Portmore Pines.
The community is ready for this. The community is buying into it. Right now, there are houses, there are persons who are stocking, they're separating their garbage. So this week, I don't think the garbage truck will have much problem this week.
In the meantime, Mr. Gordon is again urging Jamaicans to containerize their garbage. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The Scots Hall Maroons are urging the government to make Maroons a part of the conversation when dealing with matters of national importance. The colonel complains that Maroons continue to be sidelined. Kelisha Williams reports.
A celebration by the Scots Hall Maroons as the island observes the so-called Emancipendence Week of activities. But as the people beamed with pride and reflection of their past, concerns about the present.
Mr. Prime Minister, Government of Jamaica, you guys are making all decisions, not asking us what is good or what is better to do. We need to talk to people. They don't want to talk. And we need a conversation. It doesn't make sense half of us go and talk and the other half doesn't.
For instance, Colonel of the Scots Hall Maroons, Lord Latibaudiere, said there are several issues in the country for which groups like the Maroons should have been engaged.
We look at the new money. Who making these decisions? The money them pretty, but them still worthless. What sense does it make? We don't need prettier money, we need stronger money.
Mr. Latibaudiere explained that the issue why Maroons continue to be sidelined is because many people still do not trust the Maroons.
I heard someone said on national TV, I don't like Maroons because they take my brothers back to the slave owners to cut off them foot and rape my mother. He had no problem with the man who chopped off the foot.
In the meantime, Maroons across the island are being urged to unite in order to address the plethora of problems plaguing the group. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. A race against time. This afternoon, families urgently seeking the public's help for their 3-week-old baby to do surgery. What was supposed to be a celebration for first-time parents, Justin Wong and Michaela Morris, quickly turned into worry. Days after their baby was born, they noticed something was wrong.
We had her home and we made a few observations and we took her back to the hospital. Upon further investigation and her doing an echocardiogram, we found that she had this severe heart condition.
That heart condition is called hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a congenital heart defect. This condition makes it hard for normal blood flow through the heart. The surgery is considered high risk as baby Wong is just 3 weeks old and needs immediate intervention, which can only be done overseas.
We already would have contacted several hospitals abroad who are willing to accept her. However, they're asking for very hefty, gigantic sums of money where ordinary Jamaican citizens would not just have that laying around in their accounts. And we have to pay all these fees before she leaves Jamaica.
It's why she's pleading to the public for help, as it's a race against time to raise $33,000.
This is my first child. You know, I want this baby in my life to maintain my peace and functionality. I cannot imagine how I will cope without her. So I'm praying to God for a miracle, and at the same time I'm trying my best to reach out to different humanitarian organizations to help where donations are concerned.
Persons wishing to help can donate to her GoFundMe, Help Save Baby Harmony's Life, or the Family's Bank of Nova Scotia at 000-427-416. It's now time for the Business Minute.
Chairman of the Wisinko Group, William Mafood, has been appointed Chairman of the Mona School of Business and Management, MSBM. His appointment took effect at the start of August. Mr. Mafood succeeds Patrick Hilton, outgoing president and CEO of NCB Financial Group. Now, he served as chairman since August 2021 in his second stint as head of the MSBM. The business school has also appointed 3 other new directors. They are President and CEO of Scotia Group Jamaica, Audrey Tugwell Henry, Chief Executive Officer of NCB Capital Markets, Stephen Gooden, and Professor Sterling K. Frost, Group Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Operations and Administration at First Citizens Group, Trinidad and Tobago. On the international scene, sales at Amazon grew to more than $134 billion for the second quarter, pushing stock prices higher. The company reported better than expected earnings for its wide range of products. The 11% surge drove stock prices up nearly 10% in after-hours trading. CEO Andy Jassy said that the earnings were the result of a company being able to save both time and cost on delivery. Jassy also said a number of its generative AI products has allowed its cloud business to remain a leader, competing with the likes of Google and Microsoft. And that's the Business Minute. I'm Shane Masters.
Time now for the top international stories.
Authorities may have identified one of 2 migrants found dead near the Rio Grande border in Texas. The Texas Department of Public Safety says the bodies were recovered in an area of the river in Eagle Pass. The DPS notified U.S. Customs and Border Protection and the Mexican consulate about the drowning. According to the Mexican Foreign Ministry and the National Migration Institute, the mother of one of the victims says he was a 20-year-old Honduran national. Officials do not know the identity of the second victim. Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum says he is being held hostage. In a Washington Post op-ed Thursday night, the president of the West African nation said he is being illegally imprisoned like hundreds of other citizens. Bazoum is being held captive by his soldiers at the presidential palace in the nation's capital. Last week, men in military fatigues claimed to have taken power after the president was reportedly seized by members of his guard. Bazoum said the coup was, quote, no justification whatsoever and could have devastating consequences for our country, our region, and the entire world. He went on to call on the U.S. government and the international community to help restore constitutional order, warning that the coup could make the region more vulnerable to Russia's influence. And those were the top international stories. I'm Hal Shaneberg.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jermaine Brown.